Well, hello, my friends, and happy Sunday. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Sean Petit, and I'm glad you're here today. So look at this beauty we're making. These are the supplies that we'll be using, some Marabu crayons, some deco art products. I've got some vintage papers I'm going to be working with. These collage packs are available in the shop. Lots of vintage wallpapers. And I am starting out on 11 by 18 MDF board. I'm putting everything down with my Deco Art matte medium. I'm putting all of the vintage wallpapers out towards the edges because I know that's where they're going to be seen the most. And then I'm putting the other vintage papers towards the middle. Now I'm just going to start pushing all of those papers back and making the background cohesive. I'm using Deco Art Media Gesso and kind of smushing them out with my fingers. Just really getting a nice light coat and just kind of making everything come together, blend together, while still showing up. So I'll pull that back with my paper towel and just really make it nice and light. Now I'm going to add just a tiny bit of yellow oxide Deco Art Fluid Acrylic just to give it a real vintagey kind of aged feel. I am going to put a glaze over the top of this eventually, but for now I'm just getting a little vintagey kind of aged paper feel. So this is my Vines stencil, and I use a lot of stencils in this piece today, but this one was perfect for the background. It just was the right leaves and different things, and really the leaves and everything back behind the flowers are fillers. It fills in some of the blank spaces. It allows some of that green to peek through some of the flowers and stick out around the edges. And so I could move this stencil around in all different directions and really get some really interesting pattern and just fill space of leaves and different things like that. So I wanted a little bit of variety. So this is my bouquet of flowers. One or two, I don't remember, but all of the supplies will be listed on the blog, and the link to the blog is down below in the description box on YouTube. But I wanted just a few different types of leaves and different things like that. This is my Garden 2 stencil, and I'm going back over a lot of the pattern, so it looks a little chaotic right now, but it won't. Just to get some different leaves and things kind of sticking out around where I think the flowers will be. I'm using an Americana craft paint in avocado for the leaf color, and now I'm switching because now I'm going to start filling in the flowers. And I'm using Americana or Deco Arts premium paints because they're rich and thick and creamy, and they really are great for stenciling. Any medium body paint will work. I love the bright colors of the premium paints, so I grabbed those. And I'm using Bouquet of Flowers stencil and Silhouette 5 stencil. A bunch of different stencils that I'm using, and again, they'll all be listed on the blog. This is the Daisy stencil. I'm mixing colors now. I'm grabbing some yellow and some kind of orange, sort of vermilion, and mixing the colors in to get some variety. But of course, we'll come back in and paint some more variety in once we get all of the stenciling done. So I'm making sure to kind of disperse some of that color around so that I've got even coverage to the right and to the left of the piece, and varieties of colors. So now I've got all of my stenciling done, and the main focal point flower is this magnolia. And I really wanted it to stand out, so I'm using gesso. I did the original stenciling. Now I'm just coming back and making sure that it's nice and bright and thick and I don't have layers showing through, just to really emphasize those flowers. felt like I needed just a tiny bit more color in one spot, bringing that orange around, brightening it up a little bit. So I added one more. And now I'm just coming back in and filling everything in. And I love using stencils as my guide. It makes the process go so fast. And then I can come back in. I'm using 3 different sizes of brushes. And I'm adding gesso and a mixture of the original color that I used to get some variation in color, some lights and some darks, and highlights. Just to make it look painterly. I can fill in any gaps, add any interest that I want, and they don't look stenciled. So now I'm adding I'm really filling in the petals of the magnolia flower here. And I've added just a tiny bit of that yellow ochre in with some gesso, just to add some color, to give it some life so that it's not so flat. And I felt like I needed to add more of that same color family throughout the piece, so it wasn't like, hello, there's a magnolia flower right in the middle of the piece. So I'm just adding with my fingers some fingertip flowers in that kind of same white, light, bright colors, using gesso and a mixture of yellow oxide and quinacridone magenta. So now I'm going to come back in with my fine line brush, my tiny little brushes, and just add in all my stems, connect my leaves, add any highlights and lowlights to the greenery or anything that I see, just to keep things from looking flat and one-dimensional without any color, and to help them not look so stenciled. So now I want to just really make it look antique and aged and old and vintagey, like you found it in your attic or something. So I just grabbed a rag, put some glazing, Americana glazing medium, and some Deco Art Media burnt umber, not raw umber. Burnt umber is softer, more yellow, more vintagey looking, um, and super light. I didn't want to take away from all of the work that I've already done and the bright colors. So now I'm just going to shade around absolutely everything, everything, everything. And what the shading does, and I'm using a General's charcoal pencil, in extra soft. The shading makes it really stand out, makes it come away from the background, adds any character, any of the dark spots. It's my low lights. All of that I can do with my charcoal pencil. And so now I grabbed some Marabu crayons because they're super easy to work with, creamy, and they respond a lot like a pastel, but they're not. They're a water-soluble art crayon, so you need to do this as your last step, and make sure you seal it with a fixative before you seal it because it is water soluble. And that's about it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the project. If you did, subscribe, ask me any questions. I will do my best to get back to you with the answers. Stick around for the conversation at the end. It's a good one. I put a couple of words on here that really kind of sparked this piece and how I was feeling and those kinds of things. So stick around for that conversation. And I will see you next week. Well, hello loves, and happy Sunday to you. So I'm thrilled, positively thrilled with how this turned out. This is a 11 by 17. This is 11 by 17, so it's a larger piece, but I just positively love it. So all the stencils that I used, and I've gone over this, but I know, but all the stencils I used will be on sale. And then the vintage wallpaper, there's a couple of collage packs. Those will there'll be a coupon in the resource library or in your weekly email for that. There'll be links to sign up for that if you're not a subscriber. And yeah, so I'm trying to think if I need to go over anything else. The one thing that I did want to share real quick is, so I used my Marabu art crayons in the end result, and I love these. I positively love them. If you've never used them, they're so much fun. And they respond a lot like oil pastels. And they're creamy and that kind of thing, but they're water soluble. So you have to take extra care when you're using them in your projects. And so typically I would spray this with Spectrafix. But because this is so water soluble and I need to now seal it, I am going to go to the Big Daddy, this workable fixative first. And I'm going to give this several coats, and I just spray it. And then I will let this sit, and please do this in a well-ventilated area. And then I'll let this sit, and then I'll do another coat, and then I'll seal it. So, yeah. So I wanted to let you know about that they are water soluble. They're my last layer. I'm not doing anything else over it. And then I make sure to seal them really, really well. But they have a lot of colors. You can see I can obsess on supplies. When I like something, I buy everything. So anyway, so I think that is it. I went over everything else in the video. So in here I've got beautiful gifts and it would be well. And this just kind of, when I was looking for this, I knew I was looking for a beautiful gifts or beautiful something. This came up, it would be well, and I kept thinking about it is well with my soul. An old song from the old days, but it went along so well with the motivation and inspiration behind this piece that I decided I'm going to include it. It's my piece of art. I'm going to do it anyway. So I've got both of those pieces down here, and I did not kind of shade around them, so I might just grab a little bit of, just to push them back, because they look very, very bright and don't really blend in, and I want them to blend in, so that's all it needs. So this week, like a good week of like everything being hard. You know how you have those moments where everything is hard? It's not like it's huge events or anything like that, but just you go to do something and it doesn't go smoothly. I mean, you get it done, but it's just everything feels hard. And there are just always seasons or weeks or things like that, and it had kind of been like that, and I was like, gosh, I just need to feel some beauty. I need to feel that lightness, that brightness. I need that. And while I was thinking that, I listen or read all the time. I'm listening to podcasts right now, and one of the podcasts was talking about how when you need something, or when you want to do something, you just need to like fake it till you make it. I know you've heard that before. So if you want to be happy, then you act happy. If you want, and then eventually, and this goes along with how I do things all the time. You just have to show up and do it. But if you want to be happy, you act happy. And that's not to say that we don't do the work or get the counseling or take the medicine or all the things that help us be happy. But that sometimes you just have to act like you are happy, like you're happy to see your boss that day. And you're really not, you really don't want to be at work, blah, blah, blah. But once you get there and you do that, you act like you are, something shifts. It's a brain trigger. And then you can almost actually be happy. And if you do that enough, then you are happy. And it's that habit change, habit forming kind of thing. And so that's the podcast that I was listening to, and I promise it's going to get back to this. So as I was in this place of like feeling like everything was hard and wanting beauty, as I was listening to that, I'm like, well, I need to create the beauty. I need to create my beauty. And so that's how this started. I needed some beauty, some peace, some lightness, and that's what this is. And so I thought, gosh, what a great lesson for all of us when we are needing something, whatever it is, we need to act that out. Even if we don't feel it inside, we need to act it out. And as soon as I started creating this and I got in my place and I was searching for beautiful words and I was finding other words that were inspiring me, as soon as I did the physical act of, I'm going to create my beauty, I'm going to create my peace, and I didn't feel beautiful in that beautiful place, and I didn't feel peaceful, but as soon as I did it, I did the physical act of it, it all starts to come. And the day didn't get better, but I got better. My insides got better. And that's the whole point. And that's the point of the podcast that I was listening to, and that's the point of this piece and the lesson for today, and for me, is that when whatever situation we're in and we want it to change, we need to act like it's changed. We need to act like we're already happy, we're already there, we're already having the communication or the best sometimes you come home and you don't want to talk to your significant other, but we need to come in and act like we're excited to talk to them, because eventually, I promise, it works for me every single time. Eventually, that shift, that when we're doing that physical act of this thing, it changes our physiology. That doesn't mean that we don't have the hard conversations, or we don't do the work, or we don't do all the other stuff that we know we need to do, counseling, all that stuff. I'm just saying, when I personally show up and act like I want to be happy, fulfilled, peaceful, joyful, in love with my spouse, in love with my job, in love with my kids, and when I show up and act that way, even though I'm not feeling it, it happens. It comes. And when we do that enough, it becomes a habit. It becomes how we act all the time. And I'd hesitate to use that word act, because I don't want to be acting in life. I want to be real. And that's why I say that's not about not handling or dealing with the issues. It's about changing our physiology so that our perspective on the issues change. That was deep. So, my friends, if you're looking for beauty, if you're looking for peace, if you're looking for whatever it is, create it. Create that. Act like you're in a beautiful place right now and watch what happens. Every coach I've ever had has you change your physiology by standing up and clapping or doing different things, because it changes our brain waves. And that's what this practice is. You act as if you're already in that beautiful place. It changes how we think about where we are and how our world is at the moment. And then we actually physically move into that beautiful place. All right, loves, I hope your Sunday is awesome. I hope that it's restful. I hope you got a chance to check out the new, it's a free workshop on my top 10 must-haves. I also have a live video in the Creative Souls Facebook page that I went over several questions that I get asked all the time. That's live there. You can check that out. All the links to all of that will be on the blog, and the link to the blog is down below in the YouTube description box. All right, my friends, I hope that you are creating your peace, your beauty, your joy, whatever it is that you need. I hope you create that today. And I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.